The year is 1941. For more than 2 years, World War II has been raging in Europe. The U.S. has tried to stay out of it, but now Pearl Harbor, a military base in Hawaii, has been attacked by Japan. America declares that it will join the fight. Life as you know it is about to change. Before the war, your dad went to work every day while your mom stayed home. Like most American women in this time, she did not work outside the home. She did the cleaning and cooking and took care of you and your brothers and sisters. With men away fighting, there aren't enough workers to make military supplies like airplanes, warships, and weapons. So the government turns to woman power. At first, many male factory owners don't want to hire women workers. They claim women aren't fit for difficult, dirty, and dangerous factory jobs. But without women, the Allies will lose the war.
On December 7, 1941, the U.S. was attacked by the Empire Japan, starting the official U.S. involvement in World War II and destroying about a third of the U.S. naval power. When the U.S. joined the Allies for the second time, it was caught flat-footed, both factories and workers still dusty from the Great Depression only 2 years past. When the government started preparation for involvement, men were sucked into the abyss of war, leaving factories vacant and ready to hire. Women, being the only alternative to men workers, were drafted into the workforce in a similar fashion to their men counterparts in the military. With the combination of factory need, patriotic obligation, and woman determination, American business continued through the use of the fair sex. As a result of women involvement in the labor pool, the lives of women changed remarkably in the workforce during World War II, which may be noticed through the new assortment of professions for women employ, control of their wages, and the integration of women in the military. Before World War II, a woman's life tended to center around farm and family, whereas men did the outside work, providing the family with a source of income. At the time, it was assumed that a man's income supported his wife and children, and that a woman's job should not be necessary. Women's rights organizations before World War II may have led to some minor changes for the lives of women, though it was apparently not enough to create a large enough difference to equalize the citizenship between man and woman. Because of this unequal balance, the lives of women were still reserved to stereotypical jobs such as sewing, cleaning, and raising of children. However, when the empty space of 16 million Americans leaving for war left a role that only females could fill, women were expected to be an active participant in war and did so with great zeal. In America, before World War II, the employee of choice for most businesses were white male Americans. Factory managers, forced to look outside the scope of white male Americans because of the war, scavenged what was left: minorities and women. The use of what was considered the leftovers of society was initially met with resistance, which soon faded with the production of government propaganda supporting the use of women in the workforce. Women, now lacking deterrent, soon circulated throughout the country, taking all jobs afforded to them. This opportunity introduced women to factory jobs such as riveting, a historically masculine job that paid much better than traditional women jobs. Jobs that were seen as masculine, intricate, or complicated that were solely male-dominated soon lost that status. 5 million women entered the workforce between 1940 and 1945, and 90% of all able-bodied single women between the ages 18 and 40 were engaged in some form of work. As many women took part in this new opportunity, it perforated deep into society, causing lasting changes for the lives of women. The women became accepted at almost every job from the East Coast to the West Coast, from farmhands to chemists that are not always welcome. Women's paying men on average 53% of the pay of the men they replaced doing the same exact job. Similar is the case for the woman who worked at the Rolls-Royce plant at Hillington. The issue was forced by a group of men and women workers at the plant until an agreement on the set wage that was the same for men and women workers was accepted. Such occurrences were common all across the country. Walkouts were abundant because there were many more jobs available than there were workers. When women became aware of their power over their employers, they utilized it as a tool for equal wages in situations similar to the previously examined Rolls-Royce plant at Hillington. As women were able to control their work conditions, they gained more freedom and self-reliance, providing immediate change for the lives of women nationally. Before World War II, it was already common to find women on the battlefield, but most commonly as nurses or other support personnel. These support personnel were not officially a part of the armed services and did not become officially accepted in the armed forces until the Women's Armed Services Integration Act of 1948. Approximately 350,000 American women joined the military during World War II to serve in groups such as United States Army Signal Corps, Red Cross, Women's Army Corps, Women's Air Force, and U.S. Navy. Throughout the war, the 25,000 American women who served overseas risked death, disease, and injury. An estimated 348 lost their lives. Through the dedication of both women in the field and at home, peacetime military service for women had the backing of every World War II military leader. The Women's Armed Service Integration Act became law on June 12, 1948, forever changing the role of women in the military and the role of women in society. Some critics may say that the women's rights gains during World War II were not necessarily caused by the war, but rather because of the historical rise of the United States civil rights since its creation. However, this change cannot occur without events to cause them. Since there is evident change of the lives of women, there needs to be an event to cause that change. It would be illogical to say that World War II, the largest event at the time, directly caused much of it. Another common issue that critics notice is that most women lost their jobs after World War II and often conclude that the lives of women did not change because of that fact. This view is altogether null because the employment rate of women at the war's end ignores the employment growth after the war. By the war's end, as many as 75% of women reported that they wanted to continue working after World War II. However, most were laid off anyway when the men returned. As a result, the number of females of working age who worked rose from 26% in 1939 to 45.9% in 1955, 10 years after the war. This clearly shows a change of American beliefs to allow for the growth of employment for women. By the time the war ended with the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, America was a completely different country, more powerful than it's ever been before. With factories producing more than any other nation in the world and a population eager to work them, the Great Depression was a distant nightmare. With patriotism installed in the hearts of every citizen, America's flag flew high while its enemies did not. During this remarkable time, women left the labor pool, though forever changed by the experiences and challenges that came with them. A generation of women were blessed with a variety of new skills they learned at their jobs, which allowed them a taste of independence. Women were starting to be able to rely on themselves, another skill they learned because of the war. With the military opening to women, equality between the two sexes became a more possible reality. Women were beginning to look capable, a fact that scared many male Americans. However, if there was anything to blame for these new female characteristics, it was World War II.